Hi, this is Nick with Midwest Off Grid. I'm super excited to show you guys a new video. This is all about house plans. We have the second draft of our house plans. These house plans are similar to a set of house plans that we found online, and we decided to go with a local architect here in our area. They came up with a second draft, so here we go. Okay, I'll briefly explain some of the goals of the house. Um, the biggest goal is that we want it to be off grid. The good thing about going off grid is that the energy independence from the utilities and the grid. So if the grid goes down, we still have power. Now, that being said, um, since we are fully reliant on ourselves, we will have to take care of that. So some of the other greatest benefits that we're looking at is, less service fees, less taxes on the actual costs through the utilities. Another great benefit there is more freedom. We have the freedom to do what we want with our own property. Okay, now right on to the house plans. One of the things that we want to do for the electrical is really doing some form of ground mount solar and a wind generator. The house is actually up on a hill, so that'll give us a fairly good size benefit there. We're really looking at doing zones for the heating and cooling. I've done some research on like mini split units and heat pumps that are in specific locations in the house. So that's the good thing about those zoned heating and cooling units, where you can basically turn on or off specific zones in the house. Say, for example, the upstairs of this house, we'll be able to shut that off and, when we're not using it. I have a fairly good size family, so we're looking at over time possibly not having to use the upstairs. But also, having said that, we're looking at helping out other family members um, within our extended family to stay at our house. So that's one of the good benefits. They can turn on or off the heating and cooling as they need to. Another advantage that we're looking at doing is possibly doing insulation between some of those zones. So we won't have a huge amount of loss between the upstairs and downstairs. Say, for example, if we want to kind of somewhat shut off the heating and cooling upstairs, we won't have a huge amount of loss between the first and second floors. It's a smaller second floor, but I think that would be a pretty good plan. Talking about insulation, we're looking at doing some form of spray-in foam insulation, or really making sure the insulation has some form of high R value. Doing some of those things myself, such as the insulation, making sure that we're efficient, is probably doing some form of blower test. One other possibility is using SIPs or structured insulated panels. Thing is the house plans that we have set up, it's more or less kind of designed for stick built. I don't know a huge amount about SIPs yet. I don't know if I can just take these house plans and literally send them to a SIPs manufacturing company and see if I can do a SIPs built home equivalent to it. It would be great if other people actually in the community actually know that, or if I would have to actually redesign the house plans just for a SIPs type of home. The architect that we're using right now doesn't necessarily know too much about SIPs built homes, so we're kind of a little bit at a disadvantage there. Now on to like construction. We're looking at doing a stick built home, like I said, even kind of using SIPs construction. Another possibility that I'm looking at doing is actually hiring out a a company that just builds the entire frame or the structure, the stick-built structure, and ships it on a semi truck and delivers it to your site. I may try and do that just so I can possibly do a little bit more work, possibly framing it up with a couple family members. And another efficiency that we're looking at doing is some form of a whole house fans where we can suck in the nice cooler air at night. It's a great way to quickly cool your home without having to run air conditioning. Now on to DIY type stuff. We are looking at doing probably about 80% of the build. I would like to actually pull that off just so I can reduce the amount of labor cost so I can build a slightly bigger home and also provide some awesome videos out there. Looking at possibly doing the ICF foundation, the actual foundation for the home in ICF. Another thing that we're looking at definitely doing is the full electrical of the home that would include the solar and the wind install. We're looking at doing a solar array that's mounted on the ground, not on the roof, but on the ground, so I can get a little bit more solar coverage. I really would like to use some form of solar tracking. Not sure if that's as efficient. I want to say you don't see too many solar tracking type of installs anymore, but I'll definitely be doing all of the electrical work, including the wiring in the home and the entire solar install and including the wind install. Another thing I'll definitely be doing is the plumbing along with water storage, everything dealing with water and plumbing. I don't think I'll be doing the septic type of system. I will be doing outsourcing that, which would be outsourcing the septic system. So I may even outsource some of the framing. My biggest reasonings behind that is because I have a full-time job. So I'm looking at doing a lot of this stuff in the evenings and on weekends and taking a lot of my vacation time off to build some of this house. Some of the extras about this house plan is that looking at helping out extended family, so we did make some of the rooms more handicap accessible as far as wheelchairs. The doors and hallways are handicap accessible. Well, that pretty much wraps up the house plans video. If you guys have any comments or questions, please comment. I would gladly take a lot of your feedback. Looking at learning from a lot of other people. I'm by no means an expert at all these different fields, but I'm willing to learn. So I'd appreciate your comments, definitely subscribe, and talk to you soon.